Hey everyone, this is Reese. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have a tutorial for this Thanksgiving gold card full of texture and fun, and it's very simple to make, just a couple different steps, and as always all of the supplies will be listed in the video description below. The main stamp is called Harvest and it's one of the ATS stamps, and for the background I'm using canvas prints along with our largest of the Journey ovals dies to cut the image. And for the front panel I'm using the fall text embossing folder, which is free with any order totaling $100 or more. For all the dimensions of the cards, please visit my website annareese.com, and the first step will be to stamp the canvas print on whipped cream cardstock, and I'm using the clear pigment ink since I will be embossing with gold embossing powder. And my original idea was to create a background for my pumpkins using this stamp here, but of course I didn't stamp it correctly, so I had to change my plans on the fly. I'm sure you have had that happen before, that you think something's gonna go a certain way and it doesn't. So you just have to adjust and go to plan B. So I wanted to keep this image because I thought I could have enough of the stamped image to work, and I just decided to create the strips for the background, as you will see here in a little bit. Once again, I use the clear pigment ink to stamp the image since I will be embossing it with gold embossing powder, and I will be using our heat gun to melt the embossing powder. And whenever possible, I try to have all the embossing and die cutting done at the same time. That way I don't have to be putting my machine up and down on my table. So first I cut the oval on the image, and then following the instructions on my platform, I will be using the folder and the correct sandwich in order to create the imprint of the embossing folder. And one of my favorite stamps this year is called Happy Mary, just because it has so many different sentiments for different holidays during the year. So we'll be using Happy Thanksgiving for this card, and with black licorice ink I will be stamping Happy, and then doing the same with the Thanksgiving, and this is done on buttercream cardstock. I wanted to add a little bit of gold to the sentiment, so I'm using our gold silk and just going over certain areas of the image right on top of the black that I already used, and this is just to give it a little bit of accents here and there. Next I proceed to cut the sentiments really close to the words, just to be sure that they are small enough to fit in the area under my image on the front of the card. So up to this point I still didn't know what I was gonna do with this stamped image, and then I thought maybe if I just tear some strips to add behind the pumpkins, that will definitely create a lot of texture and interest, which is what I originally wanted from this card. A lot of texture and the feel of canvas and thread and linen and gold. So I guess after all it was a happy mistake, so that I didn't stamp the image correctly, because I like the results a lot better. I also wanted to incorporate our gold mirror paper, and I decided to cut a banner with a fishtail that I would use towards the right side of the card. This will match our embossing powder perfectly, and it will bring the card pieces together. Here I am using our gold silk on cotton, and I use that to ink the edges of the oval. I wanted to use cotton just so it could create a little bit more texture as I apply the ink. And I wanted to apply the gold silk first and then do the inking with the oatmeal cookie, so that the gold was just kind of like in the background, not necessarily the main focus of the inking on the edge. And I was pretty happy. I really like how it turned out. So originally I wanted to leave the embossed panel as is, just in buttercream color. But as the project progressed, I wanted to add more ink to this piece as well. So I decided to do a gradient with darker on the top and lighter at the bottom, just because I wanted to balance the weight of the card. Most of the images and embellishments are towards the bottom. So I thought by adding a darker background on the top, it would kind of balance it out. So that's what I went ahead and did. I also inked a little bit of the edges of the torn paper, and you will see me doing it as well on the two sentiments, happy and Thanksgiving. So now that we have all the pieces ready, it's time to put the card together. I am just kind of working on the layout here before I glue everything together, just to be sure that I like how everything looks. And I decided to use our Journey Craft glue instead of our Easy Glide runner, just because the glue gives you a little bit more freedom to move things around before it dries if you do it quickly enough. And having so many layers to adhere to the background, that would definitely come in handy if I need to move something around. So I went ahead and used the craft glue for all the pieces. And one thing to keep in mind when using the mirror paper is that it will show all the smudges and fingerprints as you are working on it. So just have some clean cotton handy and polish it from time to time, and that will take care of all the fingerprints on it. In order to adhere the oval, I am using our medium foam squares, and I adhere directly to the panel. Next, I will be using some of our natural colored thread, and I thought that this will go perfect with the look that I'm trying to accomplish with the card, which is, you know, a lot of textures and natural embellishments. So I just created a small bow. I'm not the best at bows, but it came out okay. And now I am ready for the sentiment. The Thanksgiving part I will be adhering with our craft glue directly onto the back panel, and I will be using some foam squares for the word happy. Here I noticed that the thread kept on sliding off from the exact place where I wanted it to be, so I just added a little bit of tape in the back just to secure the thread. At first I thought about adding some of our gold drops, but then I thought I wanted a little bit of color. So I used the seed stones, which are a perfect color for the season. So I used in various sizes, and I like the fact that it's on a clear sheet. That way you can kind of measure and get an idea of how the gem will look on the paper without even having to get it out of the packaging. So I was pretty pleased with how the sea stones looked, and I thought it would create a nice interest to the card and not necessarily be totally matchy just with gold. Here I'm using the Easy Glide adhesive to adhere the panel to the card base. And for a last touch, I will be adding some gold silk, and I just cover with a piece of scrap paper to make sure I don't get it on the mirror paper. And I think I ended up getting a little bit on the right corner, but it came off very easily just with the dry cotton. So here you go, that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this card, and it's not that hard to make, but it gives a lot of interest, and all the textures and the color looks phenomenal in person. I highly suggest that you give it a try and let me know if you decide to go ahead and make this card. And if you're interested in purchasing any of the items featured in this video, please visit my shop at funstampersjourney.com/AnnaReese. For more pictures and more information, visit AnnaReese.com. Next time you're on Facebook, come and like my page. There you will find more information on new products and events. I would really appreciate a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you next time.